In this video, we are going to talk about user creation in DataPower appliance. As a DataPower administrator, you need to hand over this DataPower to developers, testers, and many other users. All of these users, they will have a user ID and password. Also, associated with them will have some privileges. In this video, we are going to talk about how to create those users on the appliance. There is another way to manage those users, and that is to manage them in some kind of LDAP system. Active Directory is one example. In this video, we are not going to talk about how to integrate DataPower with such LDAP systems so that users can use their LDAP credentials to log on to the DataPower. That is a more complex topic, and it would require use of an LDAP system, which I don't have right now. So in today's video, I'm going to only cover creation and management of local users on the DataPower. Without further delay, let's get started. You need to be in the default domain for this, and you need to click on the access. Here you have user management related options. For now, we are going to create a new user account. Should the user be restricted to a domain? This does not matter at the moment, and we are not going to use this feature as it is deprecated. So we will say no. It says, what kind of user account do you want to create? System administrator, network administrator, etc. Well, you can choose any one of them and their access privileges will be set accordingly. But my objective is to show you how to create a user account where you can have custom user defined policies in order to restrict their access. So we are going to say user defined group. Now here you need to create a user group. So essentially what I'm doing here is I'm defining set of accesses that this user will have. And I'm going to create two users here. One, a developer, another, a test user. A developer will have access on dev001 application domain, full access on that, and will have no access on test001 domain. Okay. Or you can say a developer will have access on dev001 domain and read-only access on test domain. A QA person, a QA account will have no access on the dev domain and will have full access on test 001 domain. So that is the scenario that we wish to implement. Let's get started. First, we'll create a user group. Here we will say this is a user group for developers. Developer user group. Now in access profile, I'm going to remove whatever is present. I don't need it. I'll click on build and would like to build the access profile by myself. So here you first choose the application domain, which is dev domain. In resource type, you have variety of way to choose. This is granularity. For now, I will say all resources. And I would say that privileges read, write, add, delete, execute. Essentially, I'm saying that this group will have full access on dev1 application domain. Save it. Again, click on build. This user needs to have read-only access on test. So in application domain, I chose test, and resource type, I chose all resources. And here I said, I removed everything. This is read and execute access. Save. So the access profile has got set. Click on apply. Now click on next button. Provide a name. This is the username. So I would say developer -01. Because it's a locally defined user, so it is asking for a password. So in the password, I'll just copy and paste this username. Click on next and click on commit. So create a user account. It is again it has started the same process again. If you wish to create a new user account, you can use that, and in fact we will do that. So let's say no here. Again, click on user define. In the user group, now I have to define the QA group. So I would say QA user group. Remove everything that is present over here. Click on build. Remember its privilege. The scenario said that this user needs to have full access on test domain and will have no access on any other application domain. So on test domain, on all resources, I'm going to provide this user full access. Click on apply button. Click on next. I will say QA-01, that is the username. Password, I want to keep it the same for simplicity. Next, commit. Password too short. I really, okay, back. Maybe this password is not good for it. So I can say test engineer 01. Maybe that's the password that I wish to put it here. Okay, say next, say commit, and now cancel. Now the user accounts that I have created, where are they? Can I go ahead and see them? Well, user account is an option over here. You see that? You have a username developer01 created. So I'm going to copy this name over here, and its password is the same. Similarly, QA01 is the username for the second one. So I copy this username from here, and its password is this. Okay. Now we have set everything that that it should have. Okay. And now is the time to test our user creation. Whatever we have created, let's go ahead and test it whether the access privileges are as we defined them or there is some issue. So I'm going to log out first. Okay. First, I need to log in using the maybe let's test the QA. So QA, that is the username that I put here, and then the password that I put here. Now remember that this person has only access on test domain. It does not have access on any other application domain. So even if I choose dev01 and say login, see what happens. It says login attempt failed. Why? It's not saying that you do not have privilege. It would be a security breach. So here it simply says that your username and password is not valid. Okay. So now keep the username and password same and try to log into test domain. Login. Now it is prompting you to change the password. This is the default behavior of the DataPower. So I'm going to change its password. Old password is this, and then new password I wish to make it like this. So this is the new password, and change the user password. This is following the best practices that as an administrator, if you convey this user ID and password to a user, the user will be forced to change the password. Password is something that only the user should know, nobody else, not even the administrator. So that is why it says change the password. Now again, copy and paste the username, and this is the password, and let's try to log in into the right domain. And here you are. you can see that and in the domain list you will not be able to jump to the other domain. The drop down even is not coming. So now if you go ahead and see, I should be able to create a XML firewall quickly. Well, I can go ahead and say that this is example firewall, whatever the case may be, good or bad. I clicked on apply button, and here it is asking me for some changes, so I will do some changes. My objective is just to show you that this user has full access in this application domain, and it can create anything. So now you can see that it has created an XML firewall in this application domain. I'm going to save this configuration. Good. Because it cannot, the drop down doesn't appear here, this user will not be able to go to other application domains. And you saw that at the beginning that an attempt to log in into any other application domain fails. So this proves the point that this user has access only in the test 001 domain and nothing else. Now let's log out. Let's test second user, which is the developer. So this is the user ID and this is the password. Now this user has full access on dev domain and not and read-only access on the test domain. It does not have any access in the default domain. So what will happen if I choose default? Let's try to log in. It says invalid login attempt. It is expected. Now if I go ahead and choose the dev domain, say login, it follows the same principle. It is asking you to change the password, which I'm going to do right now. So the password I'm going to make it is this, and hopefully it should be working. Yes, it is working. Now you are back to the login console, and the user ID here is this, and the password is this. Now choose first the application domain called dev1, click on login, and you are on the dev001 application domain. Here you can go to an XML firewall, for example, and I have an XML firewall over here to prove that this domain gives full access to this user. Here you can make a change, like make it 8002 and apply. Now, good or bad, you are able to make a change. This proves the point that you have full access on this application domain. I'll make this change back, whatever it was. So on dev001 application domain, I have full access as part of this user. Let's go to test domain. You can see that the test domain appears in the application dropdown, domain dropdown over here, which means you can go there. So right now I'm in test domain. Now here, if I go to XML firewall, and if I say example XML firewall, you can see that it also gives me an option to change it. Well, it looks like I can change it, but if I say 2049, the apply button is disabled for me, which means that I will not be able to effectively apply this change. This means that I do not have privilege to make a change over here. So this proves the point that this developer has only read-only access on the test application domain. So this is all about creating users locally on the DataPower. You will need this knowledge because even if your organization keeps your user in LDAP, you will end up creating a local administrator there on the DataPower. Because think of a scenario where there is a communication link down between your DataPower and LDAP server. In that case, your DataPower will be fully inaccessible. Nobody will be able to access it, even the administrators. So it makes sense to create local users, some local users on the DataPower, which in the event of failure of link between DataPower and LDAP server can go there, log on, and can troubleshoot and maybe bring the connectivity back or do some kind of troubleshooting to correct the scenario. So this is a very important feature in the DataPower. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching.